All right, so I saw this on the news earlier. I was watching a stream. I saw bits and pieces of this. It looked like Trump. It looked like a commercial basically to me when I was watching. But let's just kind of watch it, kind of go over maybe the
And
reasons
I just
for
want
it.
to thank the president for his support. This means a lot. And also thank everyone out there who is supporting Tesla. It's really terrible that there's so much violence being perpetrated against people like Tesla, Tesla supporters, Tesla owners, Tesla stores. These are innocent people who've done nothing wrong. So
Has there been violence against them? There might have been. I think I heard something about where they were like spray painting Teslas and stuff like that. I mean that shit's not right. Like if they're doing if that's true.
yeah,
But nobody's been. I mean, it hasn't been. There's been some physical damage, a little damage, and we want to keep it that way because I don't want to say this. It's just not the appropriate. But law enforcement's out there watching everybody. We don't want this to happen, and not to somebody that's been so good to our country. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to go through this, and we can't let it happen. And aside from that, I happen to love the product. It's a
Why is Elon Musk's on there? I don't understand what's the is he trying to get sympathy? Like I don't quite understand.
lot nicer if
Uh, President Trump wrote the art of the deal. Is there any kind of room for negotiating
Let
here?
me answer that. I know he'd give me a discount, but honestly, I don't want to ask for one. You know, I'm president, so I want to pay full price.
And what is your message, President Trump? Buying a new car while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead.
Well, I think they're going to do great. I think we're
I know too that the stock price has gone down on Tesla quite a bit. Let me see. Like the Tesla stock. Let's go back even further. Let's go like 6 months. So December of 2024, it was 479. It got down to 222. So that's almost half the price. And he lost 29 billion in one day. That's pretty recently. And you maybe think, why would Trump do this? Like, why would a president advertise for somebody like this? In my opinion, this is why. Because he gave him all this money. He donated 288 billion according to the Washington Post tally. And one thing I was watching this on a stream, and then people were like, "What about the Hatch Act and all that?" What is the Hatch Act? It's basically saying that federal employees in the executive federal can't take, money for influence and stuff like that. But it doesn't apply to the president though. That's like in the vice president. Except the president and the vice president. So he can do this, which you don't see presidents do that. There's also like some recalls. I don't know if that's that unusual because I looked at Ford. Ford has like recalls too, so I don't know if that's. I think that's just part of it, selling. I don't know if that's like the worst part. The only other thing I saw too on, I've been kind of seeing over the months is Hertz was trying to get rid of all their Teslas, and they were selling for like $18,000. That's pretty cheap. I mean, you normally get a beater for that, so. Well, yeah, let's watch a little bit more of this.
our country had to do this. We had to go and do this. They've taken away other countries have taken away our business, they've taken away our jobs. I did it initially very strongly against, as you know, China and some others in the first term. And it was a very successful term. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And then we had COVID, which we had to straighten out. So I didn't want to be doing anything with respect to other countries at that time. And we did a great job with it. We handed the stock market over. It was higher than it ever was. And think of that, higher than it ever was to that point before. And nobody thought that was even possible. We did a great job. But we had the greatest economy in history. This economy, in my opinion, is going to blow it away. But what I have to do is I have to get the workers back. I have to get the factories open. We have 90,000 factories and plants are closed from what you had just prior to NAFTA, which is not very long ago. 90,000, think of it, 90,000 factories and plants.
Is it that much? I mean, I don't know that he's not lying. He lies so much, it's hard to like take how many. I know it was probably a lot though, especially if you look at Detroit. To NAFTA. Estimates for jobs by. See, how many of these? Oh, he said factories, though. He didn't say the jobs. So it's probably close to 700,000, which I believe that just because of the old auto places are gone. Detroit's pretty destroyed. Okay, so I don't know if he's necessarily lying on that particular part.
Are closed from what it was, and it's just not right. So, and we gave it away. Presidents before me gave it away, and I could name every one of them. But they gave it away, and we're taking it back. We're taking our jobs back. And one of the things I'll say, by the way, speaking of Tesla, he manufactures more cars. I mean, he opened this incredible plant, one of the largest plants in the world, in Texas. Could you talk about that, Elon?
Yeah, it's worth noting that the Tesla cars have the most U.S. content of any cars on the market. So they're the most American-made. We have the biggest factory and the most advanced automotive factory in Texas that we've opened and continue to expand. And so this is very much these are great products. A Model S is one best car ever. So all these cars have won incredible awards. So they're great cars and they're American made. And
I'm tempted to just fact check it, but like at this point, I don't know if it even matters. Yeah, I guess just get on with it. We'll watch this. I saw parts of this. It was kind of funny.
And I'm just saying, beyond the cars, they're great. But we have to celebrate somebody that has the courage to do this. He could have said, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to get involved. Let the country go to hell. He didn't want to do that. And remember, he's going to find, and we're up to almost 5.
So I think this did have an impact though, because yesterday it was at 222, now it's at 230, so it jumped up. It was just kind of going straight down compared to December. Yeah, I think a lot of it too is just his involvement with the Republican Party. People are just like, okay, well if he's going to do that, I'm not on a Tesla. Another thing too is that the Republicans, I'm friends with some Republicans on Facebook, and I'll look at like stuff that they say. They'll talk about somebody bring up something about electric cars getting recalled, and their kind of response is, well, of course, yeah, they're pieces of shit, so him pissing off the Democrats, I think that's a lot of his customers. That's the people buying electric cars. In my experience, just on Facebook and stuff. But all right, let's watch a little bit more.
$500 billion
The kid is
worth
yawning.
of waste and fraud.
Kid is yawning.
But we have to celebrate somebody that has the courage to do this. He could have said, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to get involved. Let the country go to hell. He didn't want to do that. And remember.
So the kid, obviously, he doesn't have a choice on this. He has to go do this on his. I just don't understand this. Like I think he is just trying to garner sympathy with this. I don't see why else would you have your son people just don't do that.
He's going to find, and we're up to almost
he's bored out of his mind
worth of waste and fraud and abuse. $500 billion. we're giving $2 billion here, $2 billion there, not millions. It was a bet. If it was $1 million or $2 million, that's a lot of money. But we're talking about billions of dollars being given to defunct, scams, given to people with nothing. They have nothing going. They open up a subchapter S corporation, and they put $2 billion into it from nowhere. And we've caught a lot of them. I wish we could catch all of them, but we've caught a lot of them.
Yeah, is he really the guy to be talking about scams? So Trump University, I'm pretty sure he had to repay some of that money. He's had like 6 bankruptcies, from what I read. Most of them were from his casinos in Atlantic City. He kind of just, I don't know all the story. I may research that a little bit more. To me, that's kind of interesting. Like, why did he file bankruptcy? Elon Musk, he hasn't filed bankruptcy. He almost did once with PayPal. But Elon seems to at least be competent with the financial part of it. But Trump, he talk about scams and stuff like that. He doesn't have any credibility there.
And he's been largely responsible. So we have to
camera's
celebrate
trying to
him.
zoom in and see what
and
he's
it's
got
not that he's
written
conservative.
on there,
I don't
but
even
can't
know
quite-
if he's conservative.
Hold on.
I will tell you this.
Hold on. Can you see that?
Celebrate him. And it's not that he's conservative. I don't even know.
I can't quite read that.
if he's conservative.
I ought to take a screenshot of this and look at it. Yeah, I may do that. What does it say? It has like some numbers on it. 294.
He endorsed me. I didn't know him that well when he endorsed me. But in the time I've known him, he has never asked me for a favor. He didn't ask me for this. I said, Elon, I don't like what's happening to you. And Tesla's a great company. I don't like what's happening. It's, from our standpoint, American cars, American made. He employs thousands of people. He's got, at the same time, he has the most modern plants in the world. I said, I don't like what's happened to you. I'm going to do it. I didn't even know he was going to come. He's never asked me for anything. He endorsed me, and he never asked me. I didn't even know he was going to endorse me. The guy has never asked me. He's not saying, in fact, I could go a step further. I ended the electric mandate. Okay, I ended the electric mandate, and I figured, when's this guy calling to raise hell with me? And he never called. I mean, he never called.
What was
me.
the electric mandate?
If I were him, I would have called.
So on that,
Because he's probably even better than I am.
Mr. President, is Elon Musk rubbing off on you? Is electric then the way to go?
It's not that I'm not. This isn't for electric or gas, because people have their choices.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I know people that have these cars. I know one man. We see him all the time.
Yeah.
He's constantly. He has 5
electric
of them.
to make
He
all
thinks
vehicle
it's a good. And he was a
sales.
big guy for Ferraris.
Oh, the
and
new
other
sales.
things.
Oh,
And
yeah,
he says,
that would have
"Yeah,
hurt.
it blows him away."
Look at this shit. So for all new vehicle sales in the United States by 2030, make half of the car. Yeah, that would have helped him out quite a bit, actually. Yep. And then he got rid of it. Which I don't know. I don't know if electric cars are, if they can do that by that time. I mean, it's like 5 years to be half. All right, so that
I know
did
other
kind of
people.
hurt
They
him.
have 3, 4. They love them. They love them. And some people like the gasoline, and they should have their options.
Right.
I'm all about options. But I'm telling you, I ended the electric mandate, and I was waiting for a call. I said, "Did Elon call yet?" They said, "No, sir." The next day, "What about Elon? Did he call?" He never even mentioned it to me, never complained. Until this moment, I'm just bringing it up. Who would do that?
Yeah.
He has never asked me for a thing. and he's built this great company, and he shouldn't be penalized because he's a patriot. He's an incredible patriot, and I don't even know if he's a Republican. I really don't.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Stock market dropped today.
Well, I'm not sure if he was. Well, you're going to have
stock is also
drops, and markets are going to go up and they're going to go down.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have to rebuild our country. Our country has been stripped of its jobs, of its factories. And I'm tired of seeing where they build apartments, cheap apartments in an old broken down factory. But you have factories all over the place that are empty from many decades ago. And we're going to change it around. And it's all taxing policy. You know, it's really a policy because we have great workers, great people. It's really a policy of taxing and incentives. And I'm bringing the incentives back. And I'll tell you what, numerous plants, and I don't want to mention specifically, but I'll mention this one. Numerous plants in Mexico and other places that were under construction or soon to
kid
be
is
under
cracking me up, though.
construction are now coming here, and they've dropped that because it
playing
was
and stuff
unfair
like
what was
that.
happening.
Like, imagine
Mexico,
being a
they
little
were
kid just
building
having to
cars.
stand there.
They were selling them into the United States with no tax, no nothing. And in the United
adults
States,
going on
we
with
were
their boring
allowing them
stuff.
to take our jobs and take our factories, and we don't do that anymore. Now, from a president, it would be a lot easier if I just coasted for another 4 years. I would have been an 8-year president. I had the best economy in history in my first 4 years. I would have done very well with this one. And I had a decision to make. Do I want to do this or do I not? Do I want to do it right? The right thing to do is what we're doing. We're going to get our jobs back, and we're not going to be laughed at. Now, I will say this, that already Canada, and I respect very much, as you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming into our country. He has called and he said he's not going to do that. Okay, he's not going to do that. And it would have been a very bad thing if he did, and he's not going to do that, so I respect that. But we were just informed that he's not going to do that. Look, we've been treated very unfairly by Canada. We've been treated very unfairly by Mexico. But we've been treated very unfairly by every country all over the world. The European Union is horrible. I'm going to get it back. And I have a choice. I could just coast, and eventually there'd be a blow-up down the road, maybe a long way. But we owe $36 trillion, and we're going to get it back. We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you, I'm very optimistic about the country. Much more optimistic this way than if I did it the easy way. Yeah. I could have done it the easy way, I could have coasted. Biden left us a mess. He left us tremendous inflation, tremendously high costs of products. He left us a mess, but he also left us a mess with millions of people that poured into our country that are criminals. Millions of those people happen to be criminals. And we're looking for them all over the place. We're looking for them. And Holman and Christie are doing an incredible job. But he left us a horrible situation, and we're changing it. But one of the things we're changing is we're going to make our country really wealthy again. We're going to bring our jobs back. Right now, we're like a chicken that's being plucked at from all over the world. We're not going to let that happen anymore.
See, this is a sales technique. Basically, what you do is you say there's a problem. Which in this case, and then you come with the solution. So the problem that he set is that he inherited a mess with the previous. Because I always wonder why are you talking shit about Biden? Do you want because generally like in sports anyway, you don't it's look as bad sportsmanship if you win and then you talk shit about the other person, you know. But I think it's his sales technique that he has to kind of set it up, and then I think that's what's going on there, the psychology of it anyway.
But very importantly, and I said it, Ukraine, ceasefire. Ukraine, ceasefire. Just agreed to a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia, and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also. And
I think this is actually a good thing. If that's true, that's a good thing. He may win the Nobel Peace Prize, and people may laugh at that. But if he's able to get peace deals done, then I think you got to give him some credit on some stuff when he does stuff good. But I don't like the guy at all. Let me just say I do not like Donald Trump at all. But I think you should be at least fair with them at least. You know.
on the road. We can get this horrible war where 3,000 soldiers a week, every week, 2, 3, 4,000 sometimes. I get the reports. And they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. But people are being killed outside of that. People are being killed in the cities as things explode throughout the cities. And we want to get that war over with. So I think it's a big difference between.
So that's the biggest news thing in this. Anytime you hear about this, it's going to be used as a commercial. But to me, that's the biggest news story. If there's at least partly a ceasefire, we don't know what they may have conflict with. I'm sure that Russia's going to want more than what Ukraine's offering, but.
The last visit you saw at the Oval Office, that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. But I think the ceasefire is very important. If we can get Russia to do it, that'll be great. If we can't, we just keep going on, and people are going to get killed. Lots of people.
Is Zelensky invited back to the White House?
Sure. Absolutely.
Mr. President, you mentioned
he should be. I don't
downs
think
in the stock
they made
market. You said it'll go up, it'll go down, but
they made such a big deal about that conflict. But when I saw that conflict, I saw it a little bit different. That's how people talk. That's at least when they're blunt. The thing is that they did it in public. That was the only thing. People were shocked, but that's how I talk to people. Like personally anyway. Like if we have a disagreement or something like that, we may get upset with each other and stuff. But it's not that you hate each other. It's just you're passionate about what your side, or you get insulted.
do you and your tariff policies right now bear any responsibility for the turmoil we're seeing this week?
Biden gave us a horrible economy. He gave us horrible inflation, and I think the market was going to go very, very bad. If anything, I have a lot of very smart people, friends of mine and great businessmen. They're now investing because of what I'm doing. Because long term, what I'm doing is making our country strong again, financially strong, militarily strong.
This is something I've heard about. I haven't really I don't follow the news closely because it's just so depressing. But see, U.S. stock market. I heard it went down, but I don't know. I'm not involved in the stock market anymore, so I don't care. Usually, I don't follow it super close. 900 points, is that a lot? Could be a recession. 2%, yeah, it seems like a lot. And Amazon, I mean, that's pretty bad if they're losing money. Those are like the consistent ones. Well, Tesla too. We kind of saw that a little bit. Tesla races post-election gains. He went down 15% on Monday. Holy shit. So he about lost a fourth of his value. Yeah, I think the tariffs, that's what I've been hearing anyway, is that when you make all these changes with tariffs, I'm going to put a tariff on today, then the other people threaten you, and then you take it off, and then you're going to go, I'm going to okay, I'll make it double. Like they just don't like uncertainty, so that's causing, like, people don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Like imagine if you were in a business and you were international, like how are you going to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, because it may just change, 250% on Canadian, yeah, it's, I kind of want to see though the stock market. Let's see, stock market graph. Let's see, so yeah, it was pretty down. Oh, this is yesterday. It went down a lot. Wow. 42,080,081. It seems like a lot. Again, I'm not involved in the stock market, but that seems like a lot in a day. It did go up in ads.
And strong, if we want to get away, remember this, we have wars. When I left, we had no wars. We didn't have Ukraine and Russia. We didn't have October 7th. We didn't have that disaster that took place with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And you look at what's happened there. We caught the...
It's true on the wars. The Afghanistan thing, I kind of disagree on that part of it. The thing I disagree is he actually put the deadline in for Afghanistan, but he put it in advance. He didn't do it when it was gonna be a mess. I think Afghanistan was gonna be a mess regardless. You basically had one side. We're basically just holding them up. We're their military, and then we're going against their Afghan fighters. It was like the longest war in history. It needed to come to an end. And when you have all, which like the Vietnam War, when we're holding up one side, and then we get out. Of course, the other side's a lot more fierce than the other. With the military, it's going to just collapse, you know. So I thought it was kind of a pussy thing for him to put it up, not when he's in office, or put it in the future, and then complain about it later on. You could have done it. You could have done it. You could have smooth. You could have done it smoothly. Of course, don't agree with leaving the military equipment there, or they should have probably just destroyed the military equipment instead of letting Afghans take it if they don't want it to save money. That's why they left it.
Major terrorists, which Biden wouldn't have caught. Why didn't he catch him? I caught him 5 weeks into the presidency. I caught the man responsible for Abigate, and he's going to pay hell right now. He's a bad dude. He's a bad guy. But we didn't have these problems. I had no inflation. I had a great economy. He gave you high prices. You couldn't buy bacon. You couldn't buy anything. And also, I inherited a situation with eggs. The price of eggs was through the roof. Well, now...
I don't know if that's true on inflation. I mean, when COVID was going on, I saw some people like price gouging like a motherfucker, like with toilet paper and stuff like that, and other items. It just wasn't available there. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Now the price of eggs has come down a lot. Interest rates have come down. Gasoline prices have come down. It's all coming down. It's all a beautiful thing. I can do it the right way or the wrong way. We're doing it the right way. And I have tremendous confidence in this country and the people of this country. Tremendous confidence, much more so than if I sat back for 4 years and had a good time in the Oval Office. I want to look at cars.
Mr. President, I have an announcement to make that I think would be helpful. I want to say, as a function of the great policies of President Trump and his administration, and as an act of faith in America, Tesla is going to double vehicle output in the United States within the next 2 years.
That's
double.
a big deal. That's good. Thank you. And by the way, he makes one car. This one I don't understand. This one I don't want, but that's okay. Without a steering wheel. It comes out next year, right?
Yes.
Explain that, please.
Yes. Well, the Cybercab starts production in Texas next year, and it's self-driving. We have so much confidence in the self-driving nature of it that
See, this is like a commercial part of it right here.
It'll either self-drive
like
or not
this
drive at all,
part.
but it'll self-drive.
President Trump,
And I'm going to pass on that particular.
before this event today, when's the last time you bought a new car?
Well, I buy a lot through my children because they run the company now. I used to buy a lot. I haven't bought a new car in a long time.
What was your first car?
This is one thing too that I don't like about him. Like he doesn't. The other presidents, they divest all the companies and stuff like that and their stocks. He left all that active. The problem with that is it could create a conflict of interest if you have an active company going on and then you have control over policies. Aren't you going to make policies that benefit your company? That's the idea of that. That's why you need to divest, basically, so to avoid the conflict of interest.
The only thing I know is the beast. I got
The
a
beast.
big car with very thick windows and thick side panels.
Is that going electric?
Probably like a Cadillac or Buick or something. He just doesn't. I don't know if he knows the model.
Actually, I bought this one.
I don't know if he knows the model. I don't think he's a car guy at all. I'm not really a car guy either. I know a little bit, but
Okay.
Do you remember your first car?
guy keeps asking him, "Do you know your first car?" I don't know if he knows the
You made a
model.
decision about the electricity
beast.
surcharge, and you said you were pleased about that. Will you make a different decision now about the tariffs on Canada? Will you reduce
I'm looking
it?
at that, but probably so. Yeah, he was a gentleman. He was a gentleman. Look, I said it before. We give Canada $200 billion a year. We subsidize Canada between all of the things we give them and trade. We give them. We don't have to have cars made in Canada. We don't have to have lumber from Canada. We have tremendous lumber. We have tremendous trees. All I have to do is unfreeze them from some of the restrictions that were put on. I can do that with an executive order. We don't need energy. We have more energy than anybody else in the world. So we spend $200 billion a year subsidizing Canada. We don't have to do that. And frankly, the way that gets solved is Canada should honestly become our 51st state. We wouldn't have a northern...
Oh boy, I wish he would stop with this shit. Like, because he's really fucking spooking like Canada. Like, how are you going to add Canada? Are we going to invade Canada? And if you know about the history of America, we did try to invade Canada once. It resulted in the Second War with England. There was the one for independence, and then there was the I think it was 1812. Let me see here. Yeah, 1812. They started another war with Canada. This was like, what was it 1776? Is that like 26? Like almost 30, 40 years after 1812. Yeah. And then we went into... There's an invasion of Upper Canada because Canada was controlled by the United Kingdom, England. I don't know if it was United Kingdom at the time, but yeah, it was United Kingdom. So we went into Canada. They lost, and it was like people were like, "Oh, America's never lost a war." I don't think America won this one. It was more like a draw. I've watched a documentary about it, the War of 1812. What happened? They actually, the United Kingdom, they went into Washington D.C. They burned down the White House. Like, can you imagine that? Like going to the Capitol, burning down the White House. It did kind of it resolved. How long was this war? It was 3 years. This was like a Andrew Jackson and stuff like that, and fought him off. It's actually interesting. The Star Spangled Banner and stuff like that is from one of the battles there. It's an interesting documentary. I was just watching. I think it's on Netflix. But it's I think it was History Channel. Originally produced it. So I mean, there is a history there. I mean, we did invade Canada one time in 1812. And it was like it did not end well, basically.
Border problem, we wouldn't have a tariff problem. They don't have much, they spend very little, as you know, the least of almost anybody on military, and we spend the most of anybody on military. We have a great military. I rebuilt the military during my first time. We're going to have to...
Yeah, and this sounds like threats, though. I mean, can you look at this from a Canadian's perspective? I'm an American, but I just... You're saying, oh, we have the biggest military, you have the lowest military, they should be 51st state. He said this a couple times, and it's like, I wish he would not say this. I think it's, I kind of could see us like America starting a war in Mexico because they're putting all the military on the Mexican border, which I don't have a problem with that part of it, but like say you're going to go into Mexico and then the cartels and stuff like that. I can see how that could escalate into to a war.
To rebuild it a little bit again, not that much, but we're going to have to rebuild it a little bit again. But Canada would be great as our cherished 51st state.
Oh my God!
You wouldn't have to worry about borders. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. And by the way, Canada is very highly taxed, and we're very low tax. We're considered a low tax nation because of me, because I cut the taxes so low. So the people of Canada would pay much less tax. It makes a lot of sense. And by the way, when you take away that artificial line that looks like it was done with a ruler, and that's what it was. Some guy sat there years ago and they said, "Rah." Well, when you take away that and you look at that beautiful formation of Canada and the United States, there is no place anywhere in the world that looks like that. It's
on Greenland.
and then if you add Greenland, that's even.
I mean,
that's pretty
it's
good.
going to look beautiful.
Okay, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to make a decision. Do you want to hear?
Why would you want Greenland? It's Greenland's deceptive because it's actually ice. Greenland. Like, why would you want Greenland? Is there like oil there? Wait. This is what Greenland looks like. It looks like Antarctica or something like that. Of course, there's no people in Antarctica, but it's not exactly like cherished land. Let's see, Greenland. Let's see, resources. Why would we want Greenland? And I don't think we should be even invading a sovereign nation. Or let's see, what is Greenland rich for? Oil and natural gas. Okay, so that's maybe why the motivation for Greenland anyway.
You know what my decision? Okay, what's your best of these cars? What do you think?
Well, the car that
Back
I
to the
drive
car
is
commercial.
Flat
Which
seat.
is that one?
That red one in the middle.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
It's 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2 seconds. So faster than a Ferrari.
That's pretty.
So he's got
I don't know. My
he's got
people-
4 different models.
They're going
of
to Jeff. They're
Teslas
going to be
here.
using it more. I'm not allowed to use it.
He's not allowed to.
That's
That was
a
what-
fast one.
Just to be clear,
That's
so the
beautiful.
50%, is that going to go into effect on Canada or no?
Which one?
The 50% tariffs?
I'll let you know about it. Yeah, I'll let you. But I appreciated his call. I thought it was nice.
Okay, so the president of Canada, he's like being kind of a hard ass to. He's like, okay, you're going to put tariffs on us, then we're going to raise, because there's 3 U.S. states that rely on the Canadian electricity. We're going to put the surcharge, and they said it's going to be like over $100 a month increase in their electric bill, at least, you know. All right, so he gets into the car.
So, do you want to actually drive it?
Musk asks him if he wants to
You
drive.
don't, you don't want me to drive it, do you?
There was one thing too earlier. He said that he's not allowed to drive, which I thought was a little weird. But I don't know if it's because of his age, or maybe it's a security thing. I don't know if I've seen too many presidents drive. Trying to think, did Obama drive? I'm pretty sure Obama could drive. You know, but maybe it's a security detail thing. I can kind of see that part. Let's go back a little bit.
Let me get in this second.
On the Tesla?
Do you want my notes?
Yeah.
They gave me notes. I said, I'm not Biden. I don't need notes.
Yeah. I can take it.
Thank you.
Okay, so he got rid of the notes.
I'll watch Secret Service go crazy. Thank you.
I mean, if you actually drove it around, it would
Oh,
really
that's
be well.
beautiful. Wow,
Car commercial.
Take it to the other side.
that's beautiful. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer.
Everything's computer.
That's beautiful. Wow.
He talks a little bit like my dad, and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think he has. I don't think he's driven in like years. Oh, and I remember this, but
Yeah, it's just a brake and an
so he's telling him this is the brake, this is the accelerator, so he doesn't know. Is it that much different on a Tesla? So he hasn't driven in such a long time. He doesn't know the accelerator or the brake even. Maybe it's different on a Tesla.
I don't want to.
Give Secret Service a lot of time.
That's beautiful.
Can you start it?
Should I?
I think he's asking how do you start it.
So, do you want to actually drive it?
You don't want me to drive it, do you?
Well, it'd be hilarious if he started. I just watched this. I was watching this comedy, Daddy's Home. If it was like one of those scenes where, like Will Ferrell gets in the motorcycle and then he's like, oh yeah, I know how to drive it, and drives the motorcycle into the house and crashes, and then it crashes into his car. If it was like one of those situations where he got in it, started up, crashed into stuff, that would have been hilarious. But yeah, you definitely. I kind of wanted him to drive. I don't think he drove.
They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And no, we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
Mr.
Okay.
President,
What do you address
your
CEOs
comments.
tonight at the Business Roundtable, especially with
Well, I have a roundtable to make it a little while. I just consider this much more important because I want to buy one of these. My whole staff is so excited because I told them they're going to safely use them, and they can't believe it. So Margot, wherever you are, Margot, she's going to use it. They're all going to be using it, and they're going to have a good time using it. And if I can, oh, there you are, Margot. Look at Margot's right there. What are you, a member of the press now? I think she's become a member of the press. Takes great pictures. What do you think of it, Margot? Do you like the idea?
I love it.
Okay,
We're
good.
gonna have fun.
They're very happy.
Mr. President, your comments the other day not ruling out a potential recession seemed to rattle the stock markets. The Commerce Secretary said there wouldn't
going
be
to
one.
boom. Just so you
Well,
know.
just specifically on the recession.
Yeah,
Do you
I think this
there will be a
country,
recession?
I don't see it at all. I think this country is going to boom. But as I said, I can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way to do it is exactly what I'm doing, but the results are going to be 20 times greater.
Mr. President.
And remember, Trump is always right, right? The hat.
And what do you say to
If
Americans?
you look at what I've said over the last 10 years, Trump has been right all the time. This is the way to do it. We're going to make America great again. You know, to make it great, you have to have jobs, you have to have factories, you have to have. I look at some of the things that, like this last administration, he was the worst president in the history of our country. Nothing was happening.
This is one thing I got to kind of let's see, historians. He was actually one of the worst presidents. If you look at like historians' ranking of presidents, this survey actually puts him as the worst president. Biden, I don't think Biden is that high. In my personal opinion, Biden. The problem with Biden is that he has no marketing, and he's not charismatic, and his staff may have been running the country. But yeah, Lincoln was number one. This one they had. Let me see. This was his first term. They had him last. So he needs to stop with this shit, man. Because let's look at some other ones. Maybe that's a. Let's find a Republican ranking. Trying to find like a more recent one. I guess we can look at Wikipedia. So C-SPAN. Let's see. Joe Biden. 14th. So I don't think Joe Biden. We had some pretty shitty presidents. if you look at them. You look at Trump, there's been 46 presidents. He's like near the bottom, 44th ranking, 42nd, 45th. So he was last in some of them. See, Obama. I think George W. Bush should be a lot lower too because he started 2 wars. Clinton, yeah, Clinton was pretty good, I thought. W. Bush wasn't that bad. Carter's, I think he's gone up some. But we've had some pretty shitty presidents. But it's been a while since the shitty, like Harding, I think he got. There was a lot of scandals and stuff like that with him. James Buchanan, he was like the president right before the Civil War. He was just kind of ignoring it. Then Lincoln came, and a lot of people put him as the #1 president. So that claim where he's saying Biden is the worst, no, dude, you're pretty low as far as historians.
Nothing. He had no idea what was going on. Our country went to hell. And then to allow millions of people to come in that are prisoners and mental institution patients and all of the things, gang members, drug lords, we're searching them all down now, trying to get them out of our country. And we're going to do that. But
Biden's immigration thing, I didn't agree with it. Like, just I thought it was way too lenient, and my views on this kind of changed because I have a friend that is he's an immigrant, but he's gone legally. Just watching his struggle with it, like, it kind of changed my viewpoint of it. Like, before I was like a little bit more lenient. Yeah, they should have sanctuary cities, but a lot of them just take advantage. It seems like so. I think in that I agree with the immigration, like deporting. And if you look at Obama deported a lot of people too.
But on the financial end and the economic end, what we're doing is, to me, it's the most exciting. Our country will be greater than ever before, and it won't take too long.
And what's your message to Americans right now, sir, who are worried
Back
about
to the commercial.
market? What's your message to them as they watch it?
That's pretty interesting. The Cybertruck is with. Have you been?
Let's go see the Cybertruck.
So this is bulletproof.
All right, so this is the.
I mean, look.
I know a lot of people talk. I actually think it looks kind of cool, though, the Cybertruck. This is my personal opinion. I know a lot of people talk shit about it all the time. You see them in real life. I do think they actually look kind of cool.
In terms of imagination, I think I have a great imagination. Who else but this guy would design this, and everybody on the road is looking at it? It's amazing.
That's
actually.
true.
As soon as I
That
saw
part
it, I
of it.
said, that is the coolest design. It's. Do you agree with that, Brian? I mean, it's amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You got to give him credit.
We want the future to look like the future, and it's kind of what kind of truck would Blade Runner drive? That was the design idea.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Elon, are you planning to remain CEO of Tesla while working with President Trump? Is there any thinking on the future at the company as we're talking about Tesla? I'm wondering where you're thinking of being.
Yeah. I'm CEO of Tesla, and
He should.
yeah.
Any more plans on additional
Your
vehicles
thoughts on the
besides
market?
what you have now?
Well, we got the Cybercab coming out next year.
The
Which
one
is,
with no steering wheel. Are you gonna buy one of those? We'll pass. We're too old-fashioned.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, when you look at the
Did
market,
he say you were too old for that shit? Let me
Elon, are you planning to remain CEO of Tesla while working with President Trump? Is there any thinking on the future at the company as we're talking about Tesla? I'm wondering where you're thinking of being.
Yeah. I'm CEO of Tesla, and
He should.
yeah.
Any more plans on additional
Your
vehicles
thoughts on the
besides
market?
what you have now?
Well, we got the Cybercab coming out next year.
The
Which
one
is,
with no steering wheel. Are you gonna buy one of those? We'll pass. We're too old-fashioned.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, when you look at the market,
I don't know if he said shit. It sounded like it though.
Doesn't concern me. I think
He-
some
we're
people
told
are
that-
going to make great deals by buying stocks and bonds and all the things they're buying. I think we're going to have an economy that's a real economy, not a fake economy. It was a fake economy. They were putting in all government jobs. You see what happened last month? We had more real jobs, and government jobs are way down. That's going to continue. Those are real jobs. Those are jobs that keep the country going. You can't have all government jobs. You have no income to pay the workers.
Yeah.
And a lot of those workers didn't show up to work. That was the other problem.
And President Trump, there's this protest leader from Columbia University that the administration is moving to deport. And he said that his arrest is going to be the first of many. How many?
I think we ought to get them all out of the country. They're troublemakers. They're agitators. They don't love our country. We ought to get them the hell out. I think that guy, we ought to get him. I heard his statements too. They were plenty bad. And I think we ought to get him the hell out of the country. I watched him. I watched tapes. Specifically, I watched tapes.
All right, so I think what he's talking about here, I read up a little bit on this. There was the Palestinian protest at Columbia, but the person he's talking about it's a Palestinian citizen, so I don't think it's a U.S. citizen. But in order to deport, you have to have committed a crime. But to protest isn't a crime too. So that may be something that goes to the courts. But I'm living in Thailand right now. I'm not going to talk shit about the Thailand government while I'm here. There may have some things I disagree with, but I'm just going to, I'm staying out of it. I just don't have any control over it. And, issues like this, they could just, hey, we're going to deport you. We don't like what you said. And I really don't know what's going on with that. I'm so busy with just my own life, and I try to keep up with the U.S. a little bit, but just my own life is just, I care. That's what I care about.
And you can have them, okay? You can have them, and you can have the rest of them. Let them go to school, let them learn. Columbia used to be a good school. Now it's been overrun because of bad leadership. That's what happens. Happens to countries, and it happens to universities, and it happens to companies. And I don't want it to happen to a guy that did nothing wrong. He did everything right because he did a great company. But what he did by coming into government to help government from years of abuse, from decades of abuse, and
I'm kind of curious, how many federal employees have been fired? So there's 2.4 million federal workforce. So over 200,000 people. Or hold on. Oh, so yeah, it's. I didn't get a clear number there. $30,000. So there's 2 million, and they've laid off 30,000. Trying to see where Department of State looks like that's been the most. The U.S. aid. IRS had quite a bit of cuts. So it's been a good, a lot actually.
See that when you look at Social Security, where you have 200-year-old people.
Is that true?
That's just.
Is that true?
He uses the word care.
I think
People don't
that's
care.
probably.
Everyone knows that. But it's also, I believe it's also large fraud. I think it's that, but I think it's also
Here's
large.
the thing about Social Security. I don't fuck with Social Security, but there was a time where the only income I have like older parents. The only income my parents had was Social Security. That and then people are like, this is after they paid into it for like it's Social Security. It's money you paid into, money they take out of your check every month. So it's not like free money. Don't fuck with Social Security, man. Like if he fucks with Social Security, that's gonna really piss people off. He's starting to piss people off with the federal employees firing. But if even like the Republicans, he's like, you're not touching Social Security, right? You're not touching it. He's, oh, we're just only going after the fraud, you know. It's like that could be his downfall if he wants to mess with that Medicaid and stuff like that, where people have put money into it, they're just getting their money back. The way I look at it, he makes these claims that that illegals are taking Social Security. I don't know if there's evidence. I don't know that that's true. They can't do it legally. They pay into it, but they don't actually get the benefits.
I'm just telling people, this man is a great patriot, and you should cherish him. You should cherish him. You know, I have a little statement. We have to take care of our high IQ people because we don't have too many of them, and we got to take care of them.
As you guys look at the Social Security Administration, and you guys are looking for fraud and waste and abuse, can you guarantee people who are concerned about an interruption to benefits that there will not be?
Yes, we're going to be very careful with any interruption to benefits. In fact, only by tackling the waste and fraud in
his body language here, that means I have everything under control when you do stuff like this. So that's interesting body language that he's doing in front of supposed to be the most powerful man in the world. It's almost like the body language, I'm actually in control. You look at Trump's, it's like open body language.
It's like Social Security, Medicare. Can we actually preserve those programs for the future? Because with unchecked fraud and waste, we won't be able to afford them. The president's very dedicated to solving the budget deficit, which if we don't solve the budget deficit, we're going to go bankrupt as a country. If we go bankrupt as a country, there's no Social Security, there's no Medicare, there's no nothing. And to sort of echo what the president was saying, what really matters...
My personal opinion on why they're making all these cuts, they want the tax cuts. They need a lot of money. They're going to do these big tax cuts like they did in his first term. So in order to do that, they have to clear money up. I think they're not so much worried about the country going bankrupt, but they need the money for the tax cuts.
Is moving people from jobs that are relatively low productivity in government to high productivity in the private sector, increasing the true output of products and services. That's the real economy. That's what actually enables Americans to have a higher standard of living, and that's what's happening. And that's, I think, you'll see the truth of that in the months to come.
And we're going to make it really much stronger by taking people that don't exist or taking people that shouldn't be there out, by taking illegal aliens that are on Social Security or Medicaid and Medicare. By taking them out, we're making it much stronger. The country will be much stronger.
Bullshit on that. Like Medicaid, I don't know, but Social Security, they don't qualify for it. Do illegals qualify for? Let's look on the Social Security website. Eligible SSI as a non-citizen, you must be one of the classifications: conditional entry, paroled, admitted as a refugee, granted asylum, Cuban or Haitian. Okay, so maybe he's on that. He's correct in this circumstance. Creating humanitarian parolee, Afghan. It's not everybody, but certain circumstances, yeah. So I might be wrong on that particular thing.
But it's going to really be stronger economically. And when you look at what we're doing, I've been called by so many companies. Yesterday, as you know, I had a meeting with some of the biggest tech companies in the world. And all they're talking about, IBM was there. We had a lot of them. Michael Dell was there. We had a lot of great companies, Hewlett Packard.
He's listing like all the older.
All they're talking about is investing in this.
Tech companies.
They want to be sure. Don't forget, they're looking down the road 10 years and 15 years. They want to make sure we have a strong country. They're all coming in. As you know, Apple, Tim Cook, he said that he's going to invest $500 billion in the United States. He never did that before. He invested in China. He's got his plants in China. And now he's got them going to be building in the United States. And if I didn't have a victory in that election, he wouldn't be doing it.
So if that's true, that would actually be a good thing. If the American companies they take their factories out, at least it'd be good for America, I think. Jobs.
And if I didn't say what I'm saying, and I'm being very honest, and it's much more difficult than just sitting around and having a great time. It's a very glamorous position if you want to do that. We could have kept it, but eventually bad things would have happened. This way, good things. I'm very optimistic about the country. I think we're going to have the greatest markets we've ever had, and it's going to be really fueled by what we're doing. You had to see these companies yesterday. They're investing billions and trillions. They're investing trillions of dollars here. They wouldn't have invested 10 cents.
Mr. President, when you talk to Vladimir Putin about this ceasefire deal, do you think you need to have a conversation with him to get the Russians
I'll
to
talk
agree?
to Vladimir Putin, yeah.
When will
I
you
want to
talk?
look, that's the other, it takes two to tango, as they say, right? So hopefully he'll also agree, and I really think that would be 75% of the way. The rest is getting it documented and, negotiating land positions, etc.
So you'll talk to him this week?
I think so, yeah.
And when do you anticipate meeting him in person?
In place on the Ukrainian side, how close do you think then you are to a total ceasefire with
Well, I hope it'll be over the next few days. I'd like to see. I know we have a big meeting with Russia tomorrow, and some great conversations hopefully will ensue. The people have done a great job. Marco Rubio's been great. Steve Witkoff's been great. Michael Waltz. Everyone.
Trump is like about 6'2" or 6. Elon Musk is taller than Trump, so he must be like. Is that like 6'5", maybe 6? He's that tall? I'm a little surprised by that.
Them, they've really stepped up. They are into it. They want to see two things. By far, number one is death of people that aren't citizens of our country, but they're people, just like you. They're people, and we want to stop. And we also don't want to give billions and hundreds of billions of dollars away. We're in there for $350 billion. And there was no reason this war would have never happened if I was president. So it's a very sad thing. Thank you all very much. I love Tesla.
Wait, Mr. President, which car are you going to buy?
The one I like is that one.
Mr. President,
And I want that same color.
All right.
Are you going to put down a credit card? Elon, would you take a personal
Well, I'm going to give him a
from the
check.
president?
I do it the old I give checks.
Sure.
I like checks,
I think his credit's good.
do you still have
I like a check better than this modern system of all of a sudden there's money in your account,
Yeah.
nobody knows. I like signing a check. You sort of, but we're gonna pay, and I don't want a discount. He would give me a discount, but if I do a discount, they're gonna say, "Oh, he got benefit." I don't want any
What
discounts.
about a vanity plate?
Yeah, let's see. Truth.
All right.
TRUTH. Truth.
Sure.
That one got you by surprise.
Playlist gets downloaded as well. You can thump the music.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Trump should be in the Cybertruck.
You can do anything.
He should-
Have a good time.
If you buying a Tesla will boost Tesla sales and boost
Well, I
the
hope it
stock?
does.
He should get out of the Cybertruck.
Was that your goal?
I
by
care
doing
about
this?
one thing. When somebody's a great patriot,
Have a secret
They
service
shouldn't
driving
be
around
hurt. He's a great
the
patriot.
Cybertruck. That'd be funny.
He didn't know me from Adam until we met a little bit when I was in my first term, but he came out, he endorsed me very strongly, and I admired that, I respected that, and I respected him for years, I respected him. And when there was a chance to help our government, you're not going to use an average person. Some people would say, well, let's use somebody that failed in business for his whole life. This guy has been amazing. And the kind of thinking is, it's from a different age. It's really from a different age. When we said, let's cut 2%, he said, let's cut 60%. And he turned out to be right. And a lot of people are just not here. They don't work for us. I mean, they're getting checks and they don't work. And you know, Peter, look, we have so many different stats and so many different figures, and it's so embarrassing to us as a country. No, we're going to have a streamlined country with good people. And one of the reasons, and I called for it wasn't a cabinet meeting, it was just a meeting of some cabinet members and Elon. The one thing, and I think he agrees with me 100%, it's one thing to cut, but we want to cut the wrong people, meaning we want to cut people that aren't doing the job. We want to keep the right people.
Absolutely.
And I said, I don't want to just say we're going to cut 50%. I want to cut the people that aren't doing the job, the people that aren't there, the people that are scamming the system. And he agrees with that 100%.
And are you sure you don't want to take a test drive?
I'd love to do it. Maybe I'll do it some other time.
Do you really want to keep working with you throughout your first term? And is there going to be an end date for the two of you working together?
I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. I think he'll know when it's time. Well, he doesn't want to stay around. It's just, although I think he does like it. There's no place like the White House. Okay, so maybe.
Would you want to stay?
I don't think that. I think he wants to get the job, then get back to his businesses. That's what I think.
I just want to. I'll stay as long as it's useful and productive, and if I can help the country, I'll stay and do so.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Good-looking guy here.
Elon.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Pulitzer Prize. It's nice.
And so it's like about a 20-minute car commercial. Basically, he's trying to help out his biggest donor because his biggest donor lost so much money, one day.